to the Power of One. Today, we are going to have a two-part series on AI. I think it is so important that we discuss what could be some of the risk, but also some of the benefits of AI. And I have Abby and Leslie with me today from Mission Kids. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
You are more than welcome. We'll start out by both of you introducing yourselves and tell us about your CAC experience.
Leslie, do you want to start?
Sure, I'm Leslie Slingsby. I am the CEO of Services and Operations at Mission Kids. Mission Kids is a child advocacy center serving children who have experienced some type of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And certainly AI has certainly changed our work, and sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse, just like you talked about.
My name is Abby Nimmin. I am the CEO of External and Global Affairs at Mission Kids. As Leslie said, we're a child advocacy center, and we work with victims of child sexual abuse, but also serious physical abuse and witnesses to crime. And AI is a very timely topic because it does impact everything that we do and the work that we perform, really without limits.
That's so true. I took a training that both of you led, and I was just floored, and both of you did an amazing job. And we have to continue to educate parents and caregivers. So, how has AI changed over the years and how children are actually using all of these AI tools?
Wow. So there's lots of different statistics and studies. First of all, last year in 2024, only 1% of adults were using AI as a primary search tool on the internet. And now this year, that number has drastically risen to 8%, which is a huge jump in a very short amount of time. And if we go back over the years to how children were using AI and not, AI has insidiously really become a part of everybody's lives, children's and adults, without us even realizing it. As adults, there's Siri, there's Alexa. You go and you have to prove who you are and you check you're not a robot. All of that is AI generated. And it's made its way into everything that our kids do because number one, they're with us. And number two, they go online. They have smartphones. This is the first generation of kids who will always know what a smartphone is. And I don't want to age myself to the year of the dinosaurs, but I only knew what a hardline phone was.
Right.
So when you think about that, the change has just been astronomical.
How can parents or caregivers better monitor their children with all of these AI devices that are out here now? And I mean, I'm in victim services, so I'm damaged. So I'm telling my son, my youngest baby, who's married and has my three grandbabies, and I'm always like, okay, you got to watch them, you got to be safe, make sure they're safe. And my grandson loves Minecraft, so I'm like, he's on Minecraft, he's good. And then I take another training, and I'm like, they're like, there are people, adults, predators who are on Minecraft looking for children. I'm like, you just don't think about these things. So how can we better monitor our young ones to
Yeah,
make
I
their
think it's
sure they're safe?
absolutely. Unfortunately, we can't, hide our kids from all electronics and all AI. And we think one of the most proven tools is actually open conversations and open communication about electronics and digital safety and responsible use of electronics. And that includes artificial intelligence. So I think talking to them about one, the benefits as well as the kind of problems with technology, as well as some of the safeguards and some of the rules and boundaries in your household around electronics. And then encouraging them to come to you with questions, concerns, anything they would see online that would be inappropriate. I think that we have figured out is the key. Now, would I also encourage parents to explore, monitoring, programs? Sure, that's an option. But also, Apple has a lot of free ways that you can kind of monitor or control time. In addition, I would say check their devices on the regular basis. I think that often when we see parents come in, they said, I wish I just checked in to see what my kids were doing online. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. But open communication, talking about artificial intelligence, because again, we don't want to take away artificial intelligence forever. We will never be able to put it back in the box per se. So we have to kind of encourage them to think critically about artificial intelligence and as well as how to use it responsibly.
I agree with everything that Leslie just said. And I would add to it that I think that parents are behind. I think that many times kids and especially adolescents know so much more about the new technology than the parents do. And so I think that one of the best ways that parents can help safeguard their kids is to educate themselves about AI. Not only read about it, but download it on your own devices. Do it. Experiment with it. If your kids have Minecraft, why don't you download it and why don't you play Minecraft as your own user and see what comes up and what you see? Experiment with AI. Go to ChatGPT. Start putting stuff in and see what you get back. And then when you start understanding it, as Leslie said, open communication, open communication, open communication, but you're still the parent and set boundaries. And I might be kind of old school that way. Set the boundaries, and kids need to abide by the boundaries that are set up for their safety. And maybe consider things that could be rather controversial, like maybe phone-free or tech-free times of the day or of certain days of the week. Discuss with your school whether or not it's worth exploring. I know some schools are taking cell phones at the beginning of the day and returning them at the end. And parents, oh my God, how will I reach my kid? Well, if there's an emergency, there's an office at the school. They'll know where your child is and how to reach them. Yeah, could be very controversial, but that, sometimes the older way is the better way occasionally.
Right. And AI has like changed over the years. It's scary things that can happen with AI. Someone can call you and not be the person who you think it is. And AI can actually change the way a person looks through social media and an online platform. Is that right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So artificial intelligence can absolutely mock like recreate your voice. So it can take from a video a little bit and then kind of figure out what your speech patterns are and then create where unfortunately scammers can make phone calls to your family and friends saying that you're in trouble or need money. And it really does sound, or even worse, look like you. I used one where I did a whole speech just from 3 headshots, and it literally looked like I was giving the speech, and it wasn't me, but I was able to create it myself. But yeah, it can do way more than we ever anticipated. And unfortunately, AI is changing every day.
There's a video clip that is on YouTube. It is produced by T-Mobile in the Netherlands, and it's been around for a couple of years at this point. So I could only imagine how much it changed. But it is truly a terrifying video to watch how AI can take just a few social media posts that parents put out there all the time about their young children, just a day at the beach or a birthday party, and what it could do in terms of aging that child in basically real time into an adult, and then the way that scammers can use it.
Oh. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know, for you, these pictures are just memories, but for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen just like that. Where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom. Mom, I'm in trouble. I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you fucking loser.
And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
Another item regarding AI and kind of changing images is, unfortunately, what we're seeing is youth kind of creating AI, what we would call, child sexual abuse materials. So they are taking either friends of theirs or schoolmates of theirs, taking their real head and then putting on like a fake nude body and really portraying it like it's that real person. And so that is a new crime that we're seeing that prosecutors are getting real serious about. They've certainly defined it as a crime in the PA statute. And we just want kids to know and want parents to know that they should be talking to their kids about not only the ethicalness of that, but also the real life consequences of doing things like that.
Right.
3 News Investigates is taking a closer look at a case that horrified parents and police. A toddler was raped at a Parma Heights in-home daycare earlier this month. 3 News investigator Lena Lai reports on how the FBI caught the suspect and the challenges law enforcement faces with today's technology.
What police say happened inside this Parma Heights home.
FBI agents say he sexually assaulted a toddler at a Parma Heights in-home daycare.
Might not have been uncovered if not for the suspect recording and photographing the alleged crime. According to federal court documents, Connor Walker then shared the images on a messaging app.
How is technology increasing the challenges for the FBI to fight CSAM?
CSAM, what was previously called child pornography, stands for Child Sexual Abuse Material. The switch to this acronym? To clearly convey the horrific crime. William Hasty leads the Cleveland FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force.
The biggest challenge to the FBI and law enforcement in general concerning these investigations as well as others are going to be end-to-end encrypted applications.
According to court documents, Walker shared the CSAM on the encrypted app Session.
Introducing Session. Session gives you the freedom to chat securely and anonymously.
Investigators say these encrypted apps have become a safe haven for predators. But in Walker's case, court documents show that a foreign partner of the FBI pinpointed the CSAM as North American in origin. The FBI, working with only half of the toddler's face, used its own technology to match the face to a photo the girl's mom had posted on Facebook. Once the victim was identified, agents were able to arrest Walker, who confessed to the crime.
These applications will evolve and develop into new things and fulfill new purposes that we today can't possibly imagine.
Last month, Meta announced it would roll out encrypted messaging on Facebook and Instagram, despite protests from law enforcement, like the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
The National Center is getting upwards of 20 to 30 million cyber tips a year just from Meta platforms. And a lot of those are coming from Messenger or Instagram Direct. So our question, obviously, to Meta is how many of those tips are going to dry up?
What about artificial intelligence? Now we're hearing more stories of AI being used in CSAM.
Yeah, that's a great question, because currently it's uncharted territory from an enforcement standpoint.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost joined every state attorney general in the U.S. in urging Congress to act to make AI-generated CSAM illegal, saying the time to prevent this is now, before it happens.
But the technology is already here. Using AI face swap apps, I swapped my face with just a still photo of 3 News producer Taylor Moore. Looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? And it only took a few minutes.
It's very difficult. It's almost like a hydra. We can do our good work and cut one head off, but then another one's going to prop right back up again.
For law enforcement, the battle is fought one case at a time. And for parents,
there's very little that I think we can do on the front end, short of continuing this message of prevention. You know, we need to talk to children and adults about how much material is being posted on the internet.
As for AI-generated CSAM, it is a murky area of the law. We found lawmakers in at least 7 states have introduced bills to outlaw AI-generated CSAM, but so far not here in Ohio, Russ.
That example you showed of you and Taylor just shows how far this technology has come.
It was so easy. The apps are free. It's out there. That's why every law enforcement is pushing Congress to act.
Wow. Lena Lai, thank you very much.
So how would one protect themselves, if you know, against this type of crime or AI fake presentations? Like, how do you stop that from happening?
It's really hard. There is some, and I hate to use the word terrifying again, but terrifying technology out there that can actually, if you walk past somebody on the street who has this technology on their phone and you or your child are fully clothed, this technology can nudify you in a photo and online. And all of a sudden, it's not really you, but it looks like you. And it's got to be understood. I think that there's a difference between somebody who's being really malicious in that type of regard and how do you protect yourself, say, in a school with kids that maybe not, as Leslie said, necessarily understand the significance of what they're doing if they're creating these images. So I think in those situations, education can go a really long way in helping students understand, think about this, and yeah, you're going to be potentially criminally prosecuted, and they frankly may not really understand the psychological results that would have on their classmates as well. So I think that there is hope in something that can be done there if adults are willing to look at it and really take it on seriously and think about it.
I would also add, you want to verify everything, right? So if you got a call from somebody who is saying that they are your mother, father, brother, sister, and they sound like that, you want to verify. So you want to actually say, I'll call you right back, or I'll text you right back. You want to verify that's actually who you're talking to. We have a colleague here whose parents were scammed through artificial intelligence to say, I need you to wire me this much money. And the person at the bank actually said, we think you're being scammed and we think you should call your son right now, and called the son. And in fact, he was fine. He didn't need any money. And even though it sounded just like him, it was not him.
Now, in a situation like that, help me to understand, because I'm still learning all of this AI stuff. So it can actually be, so somebody can actually set up this AI to make it sound like somebody else.
Oh,
I got
yes.
that part.
Yeah.
But I read an article where it was this young man who was actually communicating with someone on one of the social media platforms, but it wasn't actually a person, it was like AI.
Yep.
How does that happen? Like it's just computer generated and they're just talking to a computer?
Siri,
Yes. Yeah.
Alexa, think about how they talk back to people in their home. People are having conversations in their home. It's exactly that. I don't know if it's the same technology. I'm not a tech person. What Leslie and I usually put out at the very beginning of the presentation, we run a nonprofit for abused children. And this is just information that we, as not IT professionals, have dug into on our own to educate ourselves as much as possible, both individually and, of course, mainly for our organization.
But
So,
you're absolutely right. So just like when you go on to Macy's website, right? You know that you're talking to a robot typically, right? And they're not very advanced at that. So I have a question about my order. Is this, or this your order? They're all robots, right? Well, what they've done is they've enhanced those chatbots to such a level that it will understand your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your age, and they are literally trained to develop a relationship with you. And so that means, unfortunately, sometimes people are using this for really like malicious intent, whether they're trying to groom a child or whether they're trying to scam a person out of money or goods or anything like that. Yeah, it's really problematic. Yeah.
and even without getting as malicious intent, there is marketing behind it. Marketing is behind everything. Once the bots learn your likes, your dislikes, your preferences, you see it every time you go online. You go search for one item online, and all of a sudden, how many ads are you getting
Mhm.
for that item or similar items? That's AI. That is AI aimed at you to get you to purchase products. So it may not be malicious in terms of sexual abuse, but how many people end up, there are people that have addictions to shopping and buying, and all of a sudden they end up being in debt because they get these things nonstop and they can't stop. And then they'll start talking and they almost feel like, if it's a chatbot, feels like a real person after a while. And
Mhm.
since COVID, we know that people use their computers more. They use Zoom more, like we're doing now, and they stay in more. And now what's happening to relationships and personal development for adults, much less kids. If they're in an awkward stage, they're having problems at school. Who didn't go through childhood without having problems with friends and feeling like they were on the outs or alone or awkward? I don't think there's any person on the planet. So all of a sudden, if a kid now starts talking to a chatbot, and they're not fully developed emotionally, and they feel like this is a person, it can be very dangerous.
Mm.
I think adults can really get confused on even when they know it's not a real person,
Right.
just because it feels so intense. That chatbot is trained to make you feel like this is a really strong personal relationship. And so it can be dangerous for
Yeah.
kids as well.
I mean, to lighten the mood just a bit, I mean, I tease Leslie all the time at work because we use ChatGPT on a regular basis and others. And when Leslie types in her prompt, she will often say, please. It's a machine. It doesn't care if you're polite. But you get sucked into that mindset of you're
Mhm.
talking to a person, it's not a machine.
Yeah, yeah. It's deep to me when I go to the Popeyes in my area, and every time I'm saying to myself, I'm like, this is not a real person. I mean, the way it like you can tell like that. But it sounds like a real person. But in my mind, and I guess because I'm always listening, paying attention, again, I'm in victim services, I'm like, that cannot be a real person. Now, both of you have been in the CAC world for years.
Mhm.
Did you see, and about when did you see? And again, we're not talking about anything from some professor standpoint. We're talking about peer to peer, which I think is so important, and doing the work. When did you see a major change in how sexual abuse was occurring because of the change with AI and like internet abuse that was taking place due to like the internet, a child going to meet somebody that they probably thought was a teen but was an actual adult.
I could say that before trying to put a year on it, and maybe Leslie could think of it better. I remember that when Mission Kids was started and we opened in 2009, part of what we do is that there's a one-on interview with a trained forensic interviewer and the victim. And as part of that setup in the room, the child is made very aware that there are 2 cameras in the room and audio, and that it is being broadcast to another room nearby so that a team of professionals can hear the interview live. And when we first started, there were definitely times, not a lot, but kids would ask questions about who was behind the camera. Sometimes they'd ask to meet the team. Sometimes they'd want to talk to them. Over the years, that has absolutely, they don't blink an eye. A camera? Okay, so the sun's out too, right? It doesn't matter even a little bit that there's a camera there and that people are watching them. Doesn't faze them in the least. That is a huge change that I can date back to 2009. When exactly did it change? I don't know. Leslie, do you have a thought about that?
Well, I would say, while we've always had the internet influence our cases, we saw a huge spike during COVID. So they happened before. We call them, commercial sexual exploitation cases, typically through online. So we saw them before COVID, but we saw a huge jump in COVID and after COVID because all of a sudden every kid had a device because they got them during COVID for real school and work purposes, right? But unfortunately, that created a lot of extra access to kids for people who are interested in perpetrating against children. And so I would say that's when we saw the spike happen. And I would say ever since, unfortunately, I would say that's changed in the past 2 years significantly where it's being used. But I would say internet crimes is pretty prevalent for us. We definitely ask them on a regular basis about that.
Wow. Okay.
But I would also say, while the internet has created more opportunities for potential offenders, I would also say it's helped us really with the investigation of cases as well, right? Because there's a lot of digital evidence now and that we can really kind of download from phones, computers. So it is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank both of you for joining me for this episode of AI and how we can educate our caregivers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It is extremely important to know the sites that your children are on. And as you heard, download those sites, go to those sites so you know exactly what they're doing and who they're interacting with. It is so important. And stop putting all of your business and your children's business on social media because some people use it in the bad way. Peace and love.